Welcome to TRS Clips, where you'll find happiness through your own curiosity. So you said that there's a long wait list of people waiting for liver transplants and it doesn't end up happening. And you're effectively treating someone who is actively dying.
Going to die.
Going to die. Maybe I have a slight philosophical question for you. Because as a liver physician, you're seeing these men and women who have drank so much in their life and now are starting to realize their mistakes. On some deep level, though, I'm sure they realize their mistakes.
Yeah.
Even if they're not admitting it openly.
Yeah.
That, I shouldn't have had that much fun when I was younger.
Yeah.
I could have easily stopped myself because I've been through phases of drinking a lot. And there is that voice sometimes in your head that tells you that, listen, it's getting too much. They say that when you want to actually begin change and get out of an addiction, the easiest way to do it is when a loved one comes and tells you, listen, you're doing this too much. And that always happens.
Yeah.
So when a loved one, like a close friend or a relative comes and tells you, listen, this is too much, that's your big wake-up call. Ideally, before that, you should have that internal, everyone has an internal voice, you should listen to the internal voice. So my question to you is, when you see these people who now are living in that slight state of regret, two things. One, how do they look physically? Like, do they look like they're going to be on a deathbed soon? And two, you meet different kinds of people as a doctor. Everyone has a different kind of energy they speak with and, a vibe.
Yeah.
What is their vibe? Like, are they angry? Are they like what has led them to that?
So the look of these patients is same throughout. They look like they have advanced liver disease, which means physically they are emaciated. They have very poor muscle mass. They have a hollowed look. They have severe muscle wasting.
What is muscle wasting?
Muscle wasting means you lose major muscle groups in your body, because advanced liver disease patients lose a lot of muscle, which is why we give them a high protein diet and all that to improve their muscle mass, which actually improves their clinical outcomes. So they always have this emaciated, muscle wasted look, hollowed out look. But I can see some kind of brightness, or like what I would like to say, light at the end of the tunnel.
Hope.
Yeah. Like some kind of hope. When we tell them that, it's not their fault that they are in that position right now, the way they look and how they are now, it's not their fault. It's because of a disease that overtook them, which brings me back to the worm story. It was alcohol that was doing everything on them. And at some point they lost control and they could never get it back. But now that they are sick, their bodies cannot tolerate alcohol as it was tolerating before. They are in front of me with insight that this is what happened. Now the vibe, exactly, it's regret differently. Everyone has regrets, because without regret, you cannot have a reformation, especially when it comes to a disease like alcohol. But that regret should be, it should be judgment free. So that regret that they have is actually bittersweet, because I'm giving them hope, because I'm telling them that, it's not beyond a certain point that, we can't help you. You are still within our care and we can provide you good care and we can increase your survival through whatever means necessary, including a liver transplantation. And that gives them hope that they can have a second chance at life. So it's not always a morbid and a morose conversation that I have with my patients in the ICU or in the OPD, especially advanced critically ill patients, critically ill liver disease patients. I always make it hopeful, because what are we without, the positivity? But then there are conditions where we can't do much for the patient. So there are limits to medical science. I'm not denying it. So when medical science stops, where medical science stops, the limits of it comes, there starts compassionate clinical care. So somebody says that, this patient has advanced liver cancer or advanced liver disease, which has involved other organs also, and you are not a candidate for liver transplant, which means we cannot cure you. You are going to die of more complications. Maybe you have 6 months or 1 year left. We don't say that. We tell them that you have short lives, but we are going to make it good for you. So that is something known as palliative care or comfort care, which is also part of realistic medical care. So a lot of these patients, one of the reasons why I took up hepatology was that I saw in my master's degree training and during my training in hepatology, I saw that there were a lot of patients coming in who were advanced critically ill patients, advanced liver disease patients, who had nothing left to look forward to, because they're going to die anyways. And doctors were dealing them in the same way. Like, you're anyway going to die. So why should I spend any more time on you? Because you're not going to bring me any more revenue. I cannot admit you're already on comfort care. There's nothing that we can do. And there are other doctors who would love such patients because they keep admitting them and get money from them. And patients are burned out. But when you have a compassionate care, you can actually provide whatever care is necessary within the hospital premise and whatever care is necessary within their home unit. So you have a home-based care plus you have a hospital-based care. So they actually know when to come to hospital. And a lot of problems can be taken care of at home. It financially settles them. It gives them satisfaction. It gives them that feeling that there is a caring personality who's going to take care of them during the time they are going to die.
It's a little question, but I'll still ask. People in that state, biological state of their liver being fully wrecked, do they still want a drink?
I can tell you about one person who, I won't call him hopeless, but I saw the power alcohol has on brains with that single man. So there was this guy who used to drink like a fish for about 8 years. He used to drink about, if I want to classify it in amounts, about 600 to 700 ml per day for 8 years, which went to 2 liters a day.
What?
I'm telling you, I have patients who drink 1.5 to 2 liters a day of alcohol.
Any specific choice of alcohol there?
It's mostly dark rum in Kerala that they drink. Old Monk is very favorite there.
2 liters of Old Monk every day.
Yeah. And they vomit blood. They come with cancers, and it's a very messy affair with them. And this guy actually had a huge binge drinking session with his friends, and he vomited blood. He came to my ICU. He was in a liver coma. So when patients have advanced liver disease and they bleed, they have ammonia generation in their body very high. So the blood ammonia, the compound ammonia goes very high. That affects the brain, and they go into brain failure. So most of the time they come unconscious and in a coma. So this guy came exactly like that. We put him on a ventilator. We took care of his bleeding. We did an endoscopy, which is we pass a tube through the throat into the stomach and clip the places where there is bleeding and control it. We did all that. And after 2-3 days, this guy woke up. He was getting better. And we saw that his liver functions were very bad. So we told him that, you have to quit drinking and you need a transplant. So he said, I don't want to quit drinking. So I told him that, without quitting, if you go and drink again like this, you're going to die. So there's no more chance of you getting up from this coma like the next time. So ultimately he understood that, he's going to die. And alcohol is not going to go inside him because it's going to kill him. So he said, okay, sir, I'll quit and I'm going to go into a transplant. So I made the psychiatrist and the psychologist assess him, because a lot of these patients who have recently drank alcohol and they go for a liver transplant immediately, they go back to drinking after getting a new liver, which is a big problem. They have a relapse after transplantation. So this guy, we evaluated him and he said, I quit drinking. And psychiatrists and psychologists were very strongly convinced that this guy is going to quit drinking. And then we have a session together where me and the psychiatrist, we sit together and then really roast him, really grill him inside to see what his real need for a transplantation is. Why is he going for a transplant? So ultimately this guy tells me that he wants a transplant because he wants a new liver which can tolerate alcohol. Because now he's convinced that the old liver cannot tolerate it. And then he was taken off the list.
Deservedly so.
Because we can't put another person's life in danger to give organs to such a person. So we said that, you need to be abstinent. But then he was so sick that he died within a few months' time because he bled again and then he came back with an infection and he died of multiple organ failure. But I had a patient like that. And it was crazy. It was just crazy. And I have so much of alcohol stories to say. It'll blow your mind. I had another guy like this who used to drink like 1.5 liters a day. And he came to the hospital every time with a bleed. He'll pay 1.5 to 2 lakh rupees and then go away. And most of that is donated by his family members or some crowdfunding and all that. And I told him, see, this is going too far. You have to quit drinking and you have to get into the de-addiction program. Psychiatrists will evaluate you and you can have a very good life because we have no other major complications. So he said, okay. And then he went back and drank again and came back with bleeding again. So ultimately I caught him sat him in front of me, his wife, his 2 daughters, aged 4 and 7, his brothers, their wives, and his parents had died. So he had some 2 cousin brothers who were elderly cousin brothers. So all of them together in the family. I gave him the option. Okay, listen, now we have come 4th time with the bleed after heavy binge drinking. We have to take a call here. You decide whether you want a bottle all your life, keeping on looking at the bottom of a bottle all your life, or you want to live for these 2 daughters, 4 and 7. He straight away on my face told me, I want the bottle. But you could see that the burden from the wife was just, she became so light after that. Because now it was decided he was going to drink and die, which he did exactly. And 6 months later, he was dead. The wife and the children felt like they were liberated. And she started a tailoring shop. She's earning well now. She's using that money also to teach the children, which the money was previously being used for this guy's alcohol use. And everything fell in place after his death. And I could not even imagine the situation where people were happy losing a member of the family. And that is what alcohol did to them.
I love that we're talking about such extreme cases, because honestly, this is the trajectory that a lot of young people are on even today. There have been stories like the state of Bihar apparently was fully ruined because alcohol was introduced in a big way there. So a lot of the negative stereotypes about Bihar now, that, lesser development all began when after independence, alcohol was introduced in a big way in Bihar. This is like one of the conversations that's come up on the show. Even when we talk about this Punjab drug problem and all, I actually think that it begins with alcohol. There is.
If you look at India, the highest alcohol consumption rates are actually in Telangana, Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand. Yeah.
I don't think there's a single drug user in the world. There might be a few exceptions, but most hard drug users who use heroin and meth must have began somewhere in alcohol. Alcohol is the first substance, I feel.
Most of them usually have multiple substance abuse.
Hey, if you enjoyed today's clip, make sure you check out all the other clips we've uploaded on this channel. You'll find a clip related to almost every single topic as long as you're willing to search for it.